Hello and welcome to week 3. This week we are going to move into looking at the different parts of a sentence. Since the last 2 weeks you started looking at the parts of speech. So hopefully as you were working on creating your teaching lesson and your assessment, you felt like you became much more comfortable and familiar with the aspects, at least of the part of speech that you chose. So this week, what you're going to be doing to follow up on that is you're going to be sharing your lesson and your assessment with your group mates, and you're going to be reviewing and taking the assessments for the other people who are in your group. So again, the whole reason that we've done it this way is so instead of feeling like you had to on your own become an expert in every part of speech. Now you're having an opportunity to learn it in a way that hopefully is going to be meaningful, practical, applicable. But to me, I found that the more that we have to put something on the level of a student, the easier we have made it for ourselves to understand. So that's really what is going to be your main participation this week. But this week you are going to be looking at the parts of a sentence. And so I do have another PowerPoint for you. And hopefully you like the way these PowerPoints are put together simply because it gives you a chance to practice, and then find out how you're doing with the practice, see some real life examples. So when you look into our content folder for this week with the parts of sentence, you're going to see, again, that's what you're going to be studying while you're going to be going back and looking at the different parts of speech with your group mates. So when you look in our study folder for this week, here's the PowerPoint for you. So please make sure that you're taking the time to review these. It's really difficult with a concept like grammar to just simply read the book and hope that you understand it. So these have been created to kind of help you see them in action. So when you actually see our PowerPoint for this week, you're going to be talking about comma splices. You're going to be talking about fragments of sentences, when to use a semicolon. And so this is a really good review of the different parts of a sentence. So it's not only important that we talk about the parts of speech, the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the conjunctions, the clauses, the prepositions, but we also need to make sure that we are structuring our sentences correctly. And so that is why we need to focus on the different parts of a sentence. So there's a couple of blogs. There's a blog and there's an essay, again, that you can be looking at because we want to see how is this actually being used theoretically, what should we be doing? So hopefully these resources have been helpful to you. So when you get into the assignment portion of this week, this is where you're going to be sharing and then taking the assessments of the people who are in your group, which is why everyone had to sign up for something different. So what you're going to be doing is you need to post your teaching lesson, your PowerPoint, and your assessment in your group discussion board. Please make sure you do this by Wednesday so that everyone has enough time to be able to review them and then take your assessments. So once you have uploaded yours, then you're going to be taking the time to view the other classmates' lessons and assessments. So you it doesn't matter how you do on their assessments. The entire purpose of this assignment is to find out how effective was your teaching tool in helping a student be successful on your assessment. So when you have reviewed each person's teaching lesson and then you take their assessment, you're going to want to save the answers to their assessment, and then you're going to want to email it to the author of that assessment. When you get your test back, you are going to want to grade them. You're going to want to, again, you're going to want to do some data analysis. this is where the feedback is going to be so important, and that's really what this discussion piece is for. So once you have finished going through the lessons and the assessments, now you want to make sure that you provide feedback. Just remember that we want feedback to be constructive and helpful, but it needs to be done in a way that is going to maintain the respect and the dignity of the person who created it. So I would be very surprised if every person in your group gets a 100 on your assessment. And if that's the case, I would definitely take a look and see, did it seem like the questions were maybe too easy? But the same thing goes if everyone got a 0 on it. Look at the way that the questions have been worded. Sometimes we as the teachers are the problem for why students don't do as well on assessments, and it's because we have phrased it in a way that makes sense to us, but it doesn't make sense to them. So use this feedback as an opportunity to look at, when I create an assessment, how am I doing with translating what I want to get back from the students into the questions that I'm asking. So, like I said, for this week, you really are just looking with the new content, you're going to look at the parts of a sentence. But I really want you to spend a good majority of your week on these grammar lessons, on the parts of speech, looking at your group mates' lessons, taking their assessments, and providing helpful and constructive feedback. So don't forget to make sure that you are logged in, make sure that you are uploading everything by the necessary date. I'll be working on grading your quizzes as well as your teaching lessons and assessments within this week. So I'm hoping to be done with all of those by the end of the week. So have fun looking at the parts of a sentence. Have a great time looking at all of your classmates and their teaching tools and assessments. And I will see you in week 4.